Now let's look at how to use Zillow.com to find a rental property. Now I personally use Zillow.com all the time, as well as I use other investors. I buy their properties, wholesalers, realtors. I find properties everywhere, but Zillow.com is one of the best ways to either find a new area to invest in or actually find a property. So let's jump right into it. So as we look at, hey, where do I want to invest? Let me just say I want to start investing in, let's say, Idaho. I already typed that in there earlier. Let's say Idaho. I want to start looking at Idaho and see any properties for sale in this entire area in Idaho. Usually this will be popped out and you can see the properties that they have prominent, and usually people are paying for this listing so people can see it. So let me go ahead and click this so that it jumps that to the side. And you can see this huge map. See, all these red dots are homes that are for sale. And what's going to be really neat is as I zoom in, it'll space out so you can see a lot more properties. So let's say I do not want to invest up here, gets too cold, whatever. Let's scroll down and let's say I want to start investing someplace a little closer, maybe to Wyoming. I like the Grand Tetons, so maybe I'll either have a rental property close. So if I come visit the Grand Tetons, I'll be able to visit my property. Let's scroll in. As I zoom in, I can see all of these red dots and other dots, the other colored dots, are indications of things that are going on a certain property. So let me show you how to find and narrow down your criteria so that you can find properties quicker and easier. So I went from Idaho. Now I'm actually scrolling down in a certain town. This is, I believe, Idaho Falls. And let's say I don't want to have any potential listings. Don't worry about what potential listings are. They've never helped me in the past, so I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that. Now we could see for sale. I don't care if it's by agent, by owner. I don't care who I buy it from, just as long as I can buy it at a good price. So from there, let's click on price. Let's say the minimum I want to spend is, I don't know, $30,000. Let's say if there's a $30,000 property, which I'm not sure there is, put that there in the lowest. Let's say the highest I want to spend is $130,000. Click on 130,000 or type in whatever number you want. So this is the low and the high. Now you can see how the dots change. Things change because now you've already weeded out anything above 130, anything below 30. So now let's look at the bedrooms. Now a type of home that I look for is a cookie cutter type home that everybody wants to rent, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So click on the bedrooms. Wow, see, lots of properties just dropped off the market. Now let's say this looks like it's probably a pretty dense area of a lot of places and a lot of renters possibly. So let's zoom in a little bit more. Great. So now you can see all these different properties that are for sale. Now let's look at home type. I don't want apartments. I don't want condos. I don't want townhomes, manufactured lot lands. I don't want any of that stuff. I just want homes. Keep that there. Now here's something that you're going to notice that might be hard to see at first, but then it has a lot behind it. This more button. Click on this more button and you can see changing the bath, which, like I said, my cookie cutter type home that I like is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So let's change this to 2-bath. See, even more dropout. Now, let's say square feet. I want to do a minimum of 1,200 square feet because a lot of people like living in at least 1,200. Maximum, I don't want it to be too big. I want to be able to keep my maintenance costs lower. So let's just say 1,400. That's a cookie cutter type home that I really want. Lot size, not worried about. Not worried about the year built or anything like that at the moment. What is a cool little feature that I will show you, since we are investors, we want to get rent out of the property. It is awesome to buy a house that's already rented, already has a tenant in there in place, maybe has a lease that's 2 years or 1 year, 2 years, whatever it might be. But the day you buy it, you're going to rent and get rent out of it and make money. You can actually type in rented in here, and this keyword will search all the different properties to see what's rented. Right now, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that for now. I'm just going to see what properties are available at this 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and 1,200 square feet. Okay, so nothing's changed. You have these 4 properties. As I'm looking at this, I personally, my eyes don't go here. My eyes go to here. And the reason why is because, okay, well, look, here's an airport. Wow, there's a house right there for $125,000. You have an airplane that might just fly directly over the house right after it takes off. That could be pretty loud. Now, as I'm looking at these properties, I'm saying, well, what do I want to buy and what areas do I want to invest in? Me not being from Idaho Falls here in Idaho, I would rely on my property manager. I'd say, okay, what is a good area? Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that the property manager said this area from, what is that, Holmes Avenue to Sunnyside Road. This whole area right here and up to First, this whole area right here is a good area to have renters and rental properties. Okay, great. Well, here's one right here, $128,000. It could be a good investment, maybe not. I'm not sure, but let's go ahead and click on it. So as you click on the dot, you see that, okay, this house has good pictures. Right now, we can see it's a for sale by owner. So the owner has not actually listed it on the MLS, the multiple listing service. They've just put it on Zillow and other for sale by owner sites so that they're not going to be paying commission. We don't need to go about commissions right now, but let's just look at these pictures. So great pictures. They've actually done a decent job, painting the outside. You can see the pictures look really nice. Decently manicured landscaping. The house itself is painted really nice, brand new carpet. So whoever bought this actually put money into it to make it look good. Bathroom looks fine. Floors look really nice and clean. Brand new kitchen, it looks like. So everything looks good. And here's the key for me as an investor, and for you too. I can see how much money I need to put into a property. Right now, as it sits, I don't need to put a dime into the property. And so what is good for me is, hey, if it works in my numbers, I don't need to do any work. I can get a renter in there right away. So let's scroll down a little bit. You can see the property address. 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, so it's a little bigger. It's 3 bedrooms is our normal cookie cutter. 4 bedrooms is fine. But as you can see, we scroll down a little bit, and let's have our eyes catch right here. So this is really where you look at the value of the home. So they are selling it for $128,000, but you know that Zillow put together an estimate from all the different comparable sales in the area, and they believe that it's $121,000 and $121,607 is what they believe the average house that is this size, bedrooms, bath, as well as in this area of the country, in this neighborhood, it should sell for this much because the other homes have sold for that much. I don't know if they've accounted for the updates, the bathroom, the kitchen updates. I'm not sure. But let's just say right now we're just going to take this $121,000 as the a good estimate. Now, you can see the different facts, characteristics of the home from the lot size. If it has forced air, central air, central cooling, single family home. Right here is also really good information. Interior features tells you more characteristics about the property. Now let's scroll down. I'm going to jump right into where my eyes go. So usually when I go to a property, I look at the pictures really quickly. Okay, looks fine. Look at the value to what they believe they want to sell it for. Then I jump down all the way down to this. So this is you'll be able to weed out properties very, very fast. Jumping down to the home value. But here is the key. The key is this little button right here. Click right here, and it could change over time. They might do something different, but find the rent Zestimate. This is what Zillow believes the property can be rented for. And the reason why they believe that is because they also have rental listings on there. Hey, a 4-bedroom, 2-bath should rent for $900. This is what they believe. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say, right now, I believe Zillow estimates on the higher end, so this $900 is probably a little high. It might be $850 would be a good number, as well as even this number right here, $121,000. That's a good high number. They're saying it's middle range, so their estimate is $114,000 to $128,000, and they're right in the middle. I personally believe it would probably sell for around 112, maybe 110, somewhere around there, because they're on the high end about 10%, 5 to 10%. That's just my own personal experience. You obviously need to do your own comparable market analysis on the property. But let's jump back into the rent Zestimate, which is my favorite part of this, because I know that if worst case scenario, take 10% off of that, I could rent it for $800. That's worst case scenario. Best case scenario, I might be able to rent it for $1,000 if it's a really, really good property. What's also great is you can see the history of when and where, or basically when it was rented. If it's rented in this certain area, that over 5 years, you can see this is how the rent has gone up these last 5 years, and even 10 years. You can see that where it's been in the past. So probably it's not going to go much lower than, what is that, $650, up to as high as maybe $900. So you can see also that if you watch right here, as I move my mouse, it changes. But you can see that in that area, $1,100 isn't overly exaggerated. It actually should possibly rent for that much, which would be nice. So let's go back to 1 year, and we could say, let's guess, or let's throw an idea out that we can rent it for $900. Great, let's go ahead and look at that. $900, that's going to be, if I buy it for $121,000, I could probably rent it for $900. Now, I personally have a rule of thumb that I go by. It's the 1% rule, and this is a quick way for you to say, do I want to analyze this anymore or not? And the 1% rule for me is the rent going to be 1% of that each month in order for me to make income, because there's expenses I got to worry about: taxes, insurance, mortgage, repairs, vacancy factor, all these other things that we'll get to in the next video. But you can see at 1% of $121,000 would be $1,200. And so 1% of $1,200 is, it possibly could get that. I'm not sure. I have to talk with my property manager, talk to realtors to see if this property can rent for that much. But that's if I wanted to buy it for $121. That's not including what they want to sell it for, $128. So if I were to be serious about this property, which I personally would look for other properties, but let's say, for instance, I wanted to put an offer in on this property. If it's $128,000, I know it can rent for $900. I don't get sold. I don't get emotionally invested in any property. Unless it's a house I'm actually going to live in, which this one, obviously, I'm not. I would pay no more than probably $90,000. If I could only rent it for $900, the most I would pay for it is $90,000. Now, to start, I would negotiate much lower than that. I would negotiate if they're saying 121 is the average, they're asking 128. What I would actually offer is probably $75,000. $80,000. Now, they'll probably laugh or even just say no, or get insulted, which is fine. I don't like hurting people's feelings, but at the same time, it's my business. If they want to sell, they'll sell. And so I'd start at maybe $75,000, work my way up, but the max I would say is $90,000, because $900 in rent, 1% of that of $90,000 is the $900, which I know I could rent it for, and I could still make money. Now, once I have this idea, let's say, for instance, I believe I can get it for $90,000, and I want to run the numbers. Now, from this point, after making the quick idea of should I invest more time into this property and analyze the numbers, now you have a good way to figure out if you can take this property and now jump into analyzing. Let's quickly look at another quick property and show you how I look at it very quick. So $95,000, okay, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. You can see it pop up. Let's click on this one. This is how I do. Okay, the house looks decent. It's not a huge house, obviously. It's 1,259 square feet. Let's look at pictures. They don't have pictures inside, so there's probably going to need some work on it. So let's say it's going to be maybe $10,000 worth of work. I'm just estimating. I'm not actually getting in the property. You can see a great investment opportunity. This is all the information they talk about. The upper unit has 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, eating kitchen, and rents for $500 a month. Interesting. So it's a duplex, already rented for $500 a month. So this $95,000 property that they're asking, I'm not sure, they don't show the value here, which we can find in a minute, but we know we're going to put some work into it. But we can already see it's a duplex, and it's already rented for $500, and the lower one can rent for $400 a month. Actually, it does. Look at that. Lower rent. The lower unit has 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and rents for $400 a month. Both tenants have been renting for over 1 year, which is great. That's a good long-term tenant. So we already know $900 is coming into our pockets, or as rent, not including expenses. So that's $900 that we're going to be getting in rent for this one property. Now let's scroll down. I usually skip past this because I jump right into the home value. Okay, home value. They're saying $103,000 is the estimate. $95,000 is low. You can see they're already asking $95,000. So they're on the low end, which is good. And it's really close to the 1% rule that I already talked about. Now, they're saying the rent estimate is $775, which we already know it's already rented for $900 a month. So day one, right when you buy it, you're going to be making $900 a month in rent before expenses. So let's say $775, that's worst case scenario of $700 I could rent it for. Okay, well, this is great. I am already looking at this property is actually a decent property to invest more time in running the numbers. So $95,000, it already rents for $900. That's really close to my 1% rule. And obviously anything above the 1% rule, definitely that's a good deal. So let's jump into the next video where we're going to talk about how to analyze this property and make sure that it's actually a good investment.